In this video, we're going to share with you the best ways to develop your back. This information is the secret sauce for how top strength athletes maximize their back workouts. I'm going to show you 5 training tips that will help you not only build the strength of your back, but also its size. If you want more of that classic physique V shape that turns people's heads and fills out your dress shirts better, watch this video all the way to the end. At the very end, we'll give you one final tip that will tie everything together and really skyrocket your results.
Hi, I'm Dr. Beau.
I'm Dr. Dan.
And we are Two Fit Doctors. I'm Dr. Beau. Today we're going to be talking about how to develop your back. I think you'll find today's content both refreshing as well as useful because of our unique perspective. I took bodybuilding pretty seriously back in college. I even won a few shows. Dr. Dan has a background in bodybuilding as well as powerlifting and coaching strength training. So we both have a lot of experience in the areas of weightlifting as well as in nutrition. We've also been chiropractors for well over 30 years. Some would say that qualifies as authorities in posture, as well as in spinal mechanics, joint injuries, as well as preventing injuries. So because of this, we pay a special focus in the area of posterior chain training.
No doubt, Beau. The posterior chain is a group of muscles that run from the back of the skull, follow the length of the spine, and include the glutes, hamstrings, and calves. The muscles of the posterior chain include the calves, gastroc and soleus, the gluteus maximus, gluteus minimus, gluteus medius, the hamstrings, the semitendinosus, semimembranosus, biceps femoris, the erector spinae, muscles along the length of the lower back, the trapezius, the lats, latissimus dorsi, and rhomboids. When the upper back is arched and the lats are engaged, the lats connect the upper back to the lower back like a supportive crossbeam. The lats help stabilize the upper back so you can maintain the proper body position and more power can come from your core while lifting. Maintaining an arch in your back is necessary for nearly all athletics, but imperative for lifting. Losing your arch is often the first sign of technique breakdown. If you can learn to dial your lats in correctly, this means flex them while you're getting set up and while you're performing the lift. Your lats will greatly help you maintain your arch throughout a lift.
When we talk about the arch, we want people to have in regards to lifting weights. The arch we're talking about is in the lumbar spine, but there's also an opposite arch in the thoracic spine. So when we talk about the arch, we're talking about arching the whole back. While your lower back has a natural forward curve or arch, your upper back has a kyphotic one going the other direction. The way you arch your upper back is by squeezing your shoulder blades together and driving your elbows slightly down. The tighter you can squeeze your shoulder blades together, the safer and stronger your lifting will be. This means it's well worth your time to try and overdevelop the rhomboids, traps, and rear delts.
When it comes to the big 3, squat, bench, and deadlift, upper back thickness is a must for performing these lifts. So we have a natural lumbar lordosis, we have a forward curve in the low back. Now we want to arch this part. So squeeze your shoulder blades together really super tight. There you go. Get under the bar there. Yep. Elbows are pointed down. This is a good arch. Look where the bar fits perfectly between where the trap comes together with the rear delt. If you'll build this musculature a lot bigger, you have a greater shelf for handling more weight. On the bench press, an overdeveloped upper back is extremely helpful for pressing big weights. If your technique is correct on the bench press, you will have some type of arch, making your upper back very much your table for pressing against. The bigger and more developed it is, the more stable your bench is, and the more weights you can handle. For the deadlift, your upper back and glutes and hip flexors are what does most of the work from just above the knees until lockout. The more developed your back is, the easier you'll be able to finish a deadlift at the top of the motion.
So there's lots of reasons why we want to develop our back. It's important to overtrain, and one of the benefits of overtraining is that as your back gets not only bigger, it gets thicker, and this helps you with developing that V that we all desire. If you want that classic V-shaped taper, it's developing your back that will give it to you. Unfortunately, there's not one magic workout or magic exercise that will suddenly blow your back up. The truth is, building a super developed back can take a long time and training it can be complex. There are numerous muscles involved and many exercises to choose from. At the end, we'll give you tips on how you should train, how to split things up, and how to get the most out of your workouts. So here are 5 tips for building the biggest back possible.
Tip number 1, quality over quantity. We're choosing technique over weight. Bodybuilders talk about this a lot. If you've ever heard a bodybuilder talk about putting the mind in the muscle, if this were ever true, it's true for lat work. If you can't feel your lats working when you're training them, chances are high they're not. Have you ever trained back and all it did was make your forearm sore? This is because you're probably using too much weight and aren't feeling the lat working. Feeling the lat working, by the way, is not that easy. This takes practice and can take a long time to learn.
Tip number 2, hit it from all angles. Exercises for the back are often in 2 planes, horizontal and vertical. You must address both in your workouts. Vertical exercises would be like pull-ups and lat pulls. Horizontal exercises would be like bent over rows, T-bar rows, chest supported rows, horizontal pull-ups, and low cable rows. Exercises for the back can also be split up into single arm and double arm exercises. One arm pulley rows, for example, and one arm dumbbell rows. You want to go as heavy as possible here, yet still feel the lat work. Every athlete with a great back has these in their arsenal. Vary your grip. Close grip and medium grip are better than wide, but do all of them.
Tip number 3, choose the right exercises. There are many exercises you can choose from to develop your back, but unfortunately they're not all created equal. Here is a list of exercises that we found work the best. These exercises, this list is not from studies, but from the experience that we've had over training for 30 years, and this is what we found the best. Now, we're going to tell you some exercises that are not as good as some of the others in the list, but that doesn't mean that those exercises are not good at all. It's just a point of comparison, and these are the ones that we like the best. So in order of exercises that do the most for you, number 1 would be barbell or dumbbell exercises. These are deadlift, T-bar rows, barbell rows, and dumbbell rows. These exercises are essential for back development. Number 2, lever exercises. These are chest supported row, T-bar row, and hammer strength certain machine rows. These are also really good. They're some of our favorites because they take the low back out of it. Number 3 are cables, lat pull, low cable row, face pull. I'm not going to say that cables aren't any good, but I would argue that someone who has a legendary size back only did cable work. I don't think so. Number 4 are pull-ups. I also believe that pull-ups are helpful for developing your back. They are some of the most difficult exercises for most people to perform. Personally, I feel like they bring a more fitness component than size unless you're able to do them with weight.
Tip number 4, train it often. Here's how. Train upper back on one session and lower on another. The lats are kind of a crossover and can be hit on both if you want. You can also fit more lat or back training as part of your warm-up. Simply add 4 sets of 20 to 25 reps of chest-supported row before your workout. Obviously, that will be at a lighter weight. Fit these reps in while you're getting ready to train and warming up other body parts.
Tip number 5 is range of motion and technique. A fully developed back requires full range of motion. There's 2 schools of thought. One thinks that the most muscle is stimulated from the change of direction after a full stretch. The other thinks the most muscle is stimulated during the contraction phase. Your best bet is to do both.
So in summary, we gave you 5 really useful tips on how to develop your back. Number 1, focus on feeling the lat while you're training. Number 2, hit it from all angles. Number 3, choose the right exercise. Number 4, train it as often as possible. Number 5, emphasize range of motion and technique. Of all the tips, number 1 is probably the most important. You have to be able to feel the lat being strained in the workout. If you're not feeling the lat in all of the range of motion, you're probably not training it strict enough or heavy enough. In this video, we gave you some tips about how to greatly develop your back. However, we have only discussed the stimulus for the muscle growth to occur. It goes without saying there are other important aspects of muscle growth that must be in place. These include proper nutrition, getting the right amount of protein, drinking enough water, getting enough rest, etc. Without these other components, you will have trouble building any muscle.
Finally, if you really want to skyrocket your back development, here's one more training tip. Train your lats, train your back on the same day that you do a compound movement that focuses on the posterior chain. For example, after a safety bar squat, then you train your back. Or another workout would be after deadlift, then you train your back. Or after a cambered squat bar squat, a cambered squat bar box squat, safety bar, good morning, then you train your back.
If you like this video, please give us a thumbs up. We would greatly appreciate it. For more information that will help you train, grow, and thrive throughout the years, subscribe to our channel. I think the button's right there. If you have any questions on anything that was covered, please go ahead and shoot us a comment. We respond to all comments. We can also be reached at info@twofitdoctors.com.